My guest in today's episode is one of the main reasons I started the podcast in general. Josh is a young guy from New Zealand doing absolute bits in the game. So definitely stick all the way to the end because Josh drops some absolute value in this episode. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Designer Future podcast. I got Josh on today. Mate, go ahead and introduce yourself straight away for me.
Hey, so thanks for having me on the podcast. My name's Josh. I'm a 20-year-old here in New Zealand that does Instagram marketing. I built a bunch of accounts for myself and then a handful of clients as well, and now building a YouTube channel pretty much in the same niche as well. So that's long story short, run an Instagram marketing agency here in New Zealand.
Amazing, man. Amazing. What's one unique thing that you've done that you'd say none of my previous guests have ever done?
Like in business or
in general, man? In general, yeah. I'm talking.
I've probably done quite a few unique things, but I just can't think of one right off the top. I don't know. I feel like, starting a business young, had my first business at 9. That I guess is relatively unique. Come from a pretty tiny, isolated town, potentially a bit unique.
That's pretty awesome, man. What about within like the client sort of realm? Is there anything that sort of stands out for you in terms of like client successes?
We did a big campaign. We've done a lot of marketing for Russell Brunson. He's probably like my most noteworthy client that we've worked with, not currently working with, but in the past I've done a lot of marketing for him on Instagram and a little bit on TikTok as well.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
Imagine I was to come into your phone, right, and delete all of the apps, but I was to say to you, you can keep 3 of them. What would those 3 apps be that you'd keep on your phone?
WhatsApp would definitely be one that pretty much runs. The only 2 that I've actually got that are not in, because you know how on Apple you can move them all you can take them off like your home screen and put them in the random stuff. The only 2 that I've got is Telegram and WhatsApp. That's the only 2 that I don't have in like random folders. So they're probably the main 2. I don't know. Maybe I have to say Instagram, but I don't really like going on the Instagram app that much, to be honest. I prefer to do it from a desktop or something. I'm trying to limit my phone time as much as I can.
Just to go off the back of that, because I know a lot of people that watch this probably won't know what Telegram is. What do you use Telegram for running your business?
So to be honest, I only use it to talk to one person, which is a bit dumb, but Telegram's got huge amounts of group chats. Lots of people do a lot of networking through there, and it's like one of the best encrypted chats. So if you're talking about things you don't want people to find out about, it's one of the few places the government can't actually get into. Fun fact, but it's not what I use it for. It's just one person that if I did use it for that, I wouldn't say. But there is, just a guy that we contract a lot of work out to uses Telegram. So it's pretty much it. And the rest are on WhatsApp.
Okay, nice. Awesome. As a kid, what did you want to be? And obviously, how does that differ to what you're doing now?
I went through phases of pretty much wanting to be a whole range of different things. I would say the first was probably a footballer. Was probably one of the first ones when I was a kid. That was like the dream. And that was pretty much, it's a bit of a pipe dream in New Zealand, to be honest. Like you have to be pretty much the best player in New Zealand to even have a shot. But that was probably the dream at first. And then I just got interested in business from a relatively young age, was just fascinated by it, how business and money and all that works. So probably got into like entrepreneurship pretty young. Before that, football, then mostly business, I think, has probably been the main 2.
Amazing. And like you said, you got into business pretty young. If someone magically landed on this video after they've typed in how to make money online, right? They've never done any previous research. What would be your advice if you could put it down into like 3 steps?
I can put it down to 1 step, and that's just to focus on one thing. Like just pick one thing and just focus on that. That's probably been the biggest mistake I've made in general, has been not doing that. Like trying to do something for a couple months, and then oh shit, you just saw a Facebook ad for some guy that's doing something different, and then you jump on that train, and then man, I saw a really good graph the other day that sort of represented it, and it was like shows people like go up and then down, and then it's like shiny object, and then there was the other one which is just focus, and it was just straight up. So it's probably the biggest tip I could give to anyone would just be focus on one thing and go hard with it.
Yeah, and I can imagine, starting your entrepreneurial journey so young, there would have been so many shiny objects like thrown in front of you, and
Yeah.
you discover these new. And I think a lot of the people watching this would be guilty of that. With that being said, how would you sort of advise, or have you got any tips in like staying focused on one subject?
I don't know. I feel like it's something I'm still learning. I mean, probably over the past few months, I've been doing way too many things, and it's probably only the last couple of weeks actually that I've just really narrowed things down again. Probably just consuming less. I've just been real intentional with what content you consume. Because if you consume a whole bunch of content online, especially if you're listening to stuff in the make money online niche, and then you hear people talking about drop shipping, and then you got Amazon, and then you got YouTube automation, and you got Instagram, and you got all these different things, and you're going to be like jumping around. But if you want to get really good at, building a podcast, just listen to content about building a podcast, and then maybe some stuff about mindset and stuff like that. But just be really intentional with what and who you're listening to.
Exactly. And I think on the back of that, one thing I'd like to add is that's why when people talk to me about courses, and some people are like, they don't see the value in courses, and they're like, all of the information can be found free online, which is totally true. But like you said, you can get down the biggest rabbit hole of, you might be focusing on one subject for X amount of time, but then all of a sudden in the recommended tab, there's another business niche, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe that would work. And then, like you said, you're all of a sudden you're just spinning your wheels in a sense.
Yeah, exactly.
With that being said about consuming content, let's flip the script a little bit and talk about creating content, because I'm pretty sure I first found you on YouTube. By the way, guys, like, go check out Josh's channel. Some amazing content on there. He's very, very good at what he does, and his breakdowns on YouTube are really cool. But when it comes to creating content, whether that's for yourself or for your clients, what would be some advice for the people watching if they've never created any content before?
So when it comes to like the technical aspect of creating content, it's not something that I'm actually that good at. Like, that was probably the first thing I outsourced when I was growing my Instagram accounts, was the content creation. Because when it comes to like graphic design, editing, it's not really my strong point. It's just not something that I've really particularly put a lot of time into learning. So I've always outsourced that. From the point of like, I guess, creating YouTube videos, the biggest thing is just to do it and just to like create a ton. Like, if people go and look at my channel now, if you look at my content from a year ago, like, it was tragic. Like, the sound was horrible. There was bad lighting. I was uncomfortable on camera. Like, yeah, it was pretty bad. I actually left like my first video up just purely so people can go back and see how bad it was. And then, through doing it, you get more comfortable and you get better at doing it, and just looking at other creators and seeing what they do well, and taking a little bit from this creator and a little bit from this creator, and sort of packaging it into your own unique style, I guess.
For sure. Yeah. Because I love doing this as well, but what does it do to you watching back like those older videos?
I just cringe. And I also realize how far you've sort of like come. And I mean, you always look back, like, I'll look back in 6 months and look what I've made now, and be like, yeah, it was way better. Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
I think that's all part of the process, man. And I think, like, when you, as a creator, when you do look back at your old videos, I would watch them back, and it's like 30 seconds of the video, and I'm like, what was I doing? But it makes me want to go, okay, I'm going to go make a video that's 100 times better than this.
Yeah. The annoying thing is my most profitable YouTube video, like the one that pays me the most in AdSense, is one I recorded like 14 months ago. And it just ranks right at the top of the search for like YouTube ads, for running YouTube ads. And it ranks right at the top, and it's a horrible video, but I've tried to knock it off by making like similar videos on the same topic and putting them out now, but it's just not sticking. So like, it's frustrating, but
I'd love to like dive a little bit deeper on the topic of YouTube as well, which I don't necessarily do with all of the guests, simply because obviously, we're both on YouTube. Exactly what you just said with, you're trying to recreate that success that you had on YouTube, right? what what's sort of like your mindset now with YouTube in like uploading videos like consistently, thinking of ideas, and like you said, actually recording the content? What's that sort of process like for you? But also the mindset side of things, like when you do upload a video and it doesn't bang in a sense like the previous videos.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely not a good feeling. And I think anyone that does YouTube will agree with that. When you see that 10 out of 10, which for those who don't do YouTube, every time you put out a video, YouTube rank it based on the amount of views. So like how many views you got in the first 15 minutes compared to your last 10, and 1 out of 10, you feel on top of the world. It's your best video. And 10 out of 10, you feel horrible because it's done bad. But I don't think there's any real escaping of that unless you don't look at your analytics. But yeah, it's not a great feeling for sure.
And you have sort of, it's mad when you think about that's sort of the scale that you have. When it pops up with the like celebration balloons with the one, and you're like,
Yeah.
why has that why is that different to any of the others? When it comes to like YouTube SEO and stuff, are you sort of like deep into YouTube SEO? Are you sort of in the mindset of like this is the video, this is the title, this is the thumbnail, people are gonna find it? Or are you sort of very analytical when it comes to like YouTube SEO, like tags? What's the process when it comes to distributing the content?
I'm not super analytical with it. Like I definitely like spend a lot of time looking at the analytics after it, but I don't think I'm over the top with it, but I do spend a bit of time in there. I definitely try, and I think title and thumbnail is most of it. And then, I mean, like the two main things I know a lot of people are pretty good on YouTube, and the two main things is always the click-through rate. So how many people are clicking through onto your content based off title and thumbnail.
Mm-hmm.
And then second is the retention. So how long people are actually watching it for. Tags and stuff like that can help you reach people, but it's kind of like the icing on top of the cake. Like if you've got a video that people aren't clicking on and aren't watching, doesn't matter what SEO strategies you're doing, it's not going to do well. But on the other hand, you can do very average tags, but you make an amazing video that people love and a huge amount of people click on it, and you'll do awesome on it.
For sure, yeah, for sure. And I feel like that is one of the things at the moment, because there's a lot of talk with like the YouTube tags that like they don't actually matter. And then you see these big creators, obviously they've already got massive followings, and then they're not using tags. So it's like you don't really know where you stand because they've already got a massive following. So it's not like they necessarily would need to use the tags. When you started your business, what was like the first thing you got into? Like you said, you've started a couple of different things, but when did you sort of realize that, oh shit, like I could actually make like a full-time income online from my phone and my laptop?
So I just started an Instagram account kind of like for fun. I must have been about 15, and it was just like cool cars, cool quotes, like just, I mean, all that sort of stuff that I think a lot of people probably like at 15 to 16. And I didn't really think much of it, but then I messaged someone who their account's millionaire_mentor. I think a lot of people probably follow it. He had about 200,000 followers at the time. And I just asked him if he could repost my content just to help me grow, sort of thing. And, then he turned around and he was like, yeah, sure, but it's going to be like $50. And I was just like so confused because no one knew what influencer marketing back then was. I mean, Gary Vee didn't even have a podcast then, I don't think, or not in the business world. And then after that, I was just so confused, and I just learned more and more and found out there were all these people that were making this full-time income off social media just from building up audiences and selling promotions. And I was just super intrigued with it. So from that point there, I just spent lots of time learning how to grow and build an audience, and just pretty much spent a ton of time doing that. And it just evolved over time. Had clients a couple of years down the line, and so on. It just naturally sort of evolved from that point. But I knew at that point that there was potential because this other guy was doing it. So I thought, there's no reason why I can't.
Sure. So was that sort of like the first thing that you got into, like theme pages and then selling shout outs?
Yeah. So I had a motivational business account. It was originally called Millionaire.Mentor. It was basically a copy of that other guy's account, but dot instead of the underscore. And then he's like, then he said he'd help me out, but I have to change the name, so it's a bit different to his. So
he's like, I'll help you out.
Remember,
You can't be 2.0 of me.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to change it up. But yeah, it was from that point that I sort of found out there
Awesome.
was something to it.
Awesome. So you briefly sort of talked about it when we spoke about Telegram and you outsourcing content creation. But when it comes to building a team, creating systems, what's some fundamentals you would say for people to have in place when it comes to outsourcing and building a team?
I'm probably not the best person to ask on that, to be completely honest. I'm just starting to get into that myself. I've always just kept things very simple and just had contractors that I'm paying per task. So if I need 100 pieces of content for the month, I'll just pay someone for 100 pieces of content for that month, and they might charge me a couple $100 and whatever the price is. And then I pay that each month and sort that out. And same for my YouTube videos. Like I've got an editor and I just pay him per video to edit things and so forth. And it's pretty simple sort of feedback loop. Like they produce content, I give my feedback. We, improve, look at the data behind it and see where we can improve things.
Yeah, but I think, you saying, "Oh, I'm not the best person to ask that." I think you really are, because when I say building a team, I don't necessarily mean like having like full-time employees. And I think what you just said is so important, because when people look at the online space and they say, "Oh, I'll start a business, bring on a video editor, bring on a graphic designer," they're like, "Well, I can't pay this person's, wage." But that is the beauty of online. You have freelancers that can complete certain tasks for you. And what Josh just said, like that is the absolute minimum of like what these guys can do. Like there is people in all different niches and all different fields with so much talent, and you need to go out and find people that are better than you to complete these tasks. Because ultimately, Josh, like what Josh said at the start as well, is like he's not a graphic designer. He's not a born and bred video editor, or he doesn't like video editing in a sense, but he can still get that end product by utilizing these freelancers, which is really cool. You can only read one book for the rest of your life. What would that book be?
I haven't actually read a huge amount of like different business books. I mean, 4 Hour Workweek is probably like the classic. I don't know, for the online business space, it's probably that one, to be honest. I don't really read a lot of fiction books or anything like that, so probably would have to be that.
Awesome. And back onto the topic of YouTube a little bit. Have you got like favorite creators, or are they within the business niche, or do you watch sort of other content as well?
I sort of go through phases of like really just binging someone's content and then like moving on and finding the next one. But within the business niche, I honestly, like I say, I sort of stuck I pretty much just consume content that's around things that I'm trying to learn. I was watching a whole bunch, like there's that Bia Heza who does real cool videos in the online business space.
Killing it,
But
man.
I've sort of,
Have you?
yeah,
Did you see? Did you see his podcast with Graham?
yeah, with Graham.
That was sick, man. That was
Yeah,
such.
smashing
He
it.
seems like such a laid back guy as well, and he's just like so. He was like, "Yeah, I was making 30K and I was still going to college." I was like,
Yeah. Yeah, he's absolutely smashing it. So he's got really good stuff in the online business space. But I mean, I just follow a handful of YouTubers that either talk about YouTube or Instagram pretty much. So there's like a guy, Hey Dominic, who does a bit of both. There's a guy, Ben Levitt, who's actually quite a good friend of mine now, who also does pretty much the same, YouTube, Instagram. And then they're probably the two that I follow the most, I think, in that sort of world. Then I mean, I watch a little bit of like the UK non-business YouTube. I mean, occasionally if there's
so like
there's a few good
KSI.
comedians over there. Pardon?
Was that like KSI and those lot?
Yeah, I mean, occasionally I watch one of his. Occasionally that Chris MD. I don't know if you've seen him. He's got some.
Chris MD, yeah, okay. You're a big
Yeah,
football guy, yeah. He makes up
yeah.
good content.
Or
He's done
Stephen
some
Tries, the
really.
comedian.
Steve, no way, that's
Yeah,
jokes.
yeah, I love it.
I find that so funny, that because do you think that like the UK and New Zealand are pretty similar when it comes to like comedy as well? Excuse me.
I'd say it's quite different.
Yeah.
I mean, me and my mates consume a lot of content from the UK, but I think that's probably more just purely because we're all into football. So if you want to watch good football in English, you
Yeah,
pretty much have to look to the UK. So it's probably a bit of that, to be honest, but
yeah.
I don't think it's too similar. I would say, yeah.
Cool. But with that being said, have you ever watched the In-Betweeners?
Yeah, of course. Awesome.
I don't know why that just made me think of the In-Betweeners, but
Yeah.
cool. Obviously this is the Designer Future podcast, so I'd love to know where you'd like to be in the next 12 months.
Probably just getting my business to a more automated phase, and make it be more of an operator than a employee, almost, of like my own business. So try and get it to the point where I've got other people doing a lot of the stuff for me, and it frees up my time to either spend on developing the business as a whole or being able to go and travel if that's a option. So it's probably just going to come down to building out my YouTube channel more, growing our Instagram pages for clients, and just getting better at systems, really. So I probably need to listen to the podcast more.
Awesome. And sorry, just to jump on, because I really want to try and pull these sort of golden nuggets out of you, like
Yeah, for sure.
making these Instagram pages. Someone like wants to get into growing Instagram pages, obviously there's so many different methods, organic marketing, running paid ads. Like, what would you suggest if someone was starting from zero on their own let's go like personal brand, not necessarily for a client, right? Let's say personal brand Instagram, or like sort of like a theme page. Let's imagine that someone's got like a budget as well, like not just like, oh, okay, they've just started, but this is someone that's, they want to do this. It's not like, yeah, I'm gonna start an Instagram page and then they upload once on Monday and then don't come back till the following Monday. I'm talking someone that, they're like, okay, they've listened to what we've just said, they've listened to you saying, look, you need to focus on one thing, and that one thing is going to be, okay, I want to grow my personal brand Instagram page. If you could sort of just map that out, what you would do in the next 30 to 60 days, I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing, and this is where a lot of people go wrong, is you need to understand what value you're bringing to people. Like just literally just write it out. Why would someone follow you? And that might sound harsh, but it's not going to be because of your personality at first or something like that. Like they'll get to know your personality over time, but like, what value do you provide? Are you making people funny? Are you telling great jokes? Are you educating them on something? Like, what value do you put out there? Just really honing in on that. And then I would say it just comes down to, firstly, putting out awesome content in that niche that is going to help those people, and that is going to serve them. Secondly, using influencers and or ads to drive traffic to that content to help you build up that audience. So it might just mean paying someone with the audience you want to share your content. That brings new followers to your account. And then the third step is to monetize that with your offer. So if you're a fitness coach, it might be selling personal training, selling a diet plan, something like that, to monetize your audience, and then pretty much just reinvesting that money back into the cycle. So keep the great content up, reinvest that money back into promoting your account to the target people. That's going to drive more people back to your profile, assuming your content is awesome. They're going to follow you, they're going to engage, and it just sort of spirals upwards over time. You gain 100 followers, you make $100, you put that back into ads. You gain 200 followers, you make $200. And it's a lot easier on paper than it realistically is. It's going to take a lot of testing and tweaking and understanding what content's going to work for you at the time, and understanding what ads to do and how to monetize it. It takes a lot of time to learn, but it's just really nailing that down.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And with the YouTube channel, which I know you started that, when did you start the channel?
About 18 months ago, I think, but
Yeah,
I've only really been going like properly, like really into it probably the last 6 to 12.
And like what's sort of the plan with the YouTube channel? Is it just sort of like documenting the journey in a sense as well?
Yeah, a bit of that. The next sort of few months, I'm more focusing now on just putting out really great long-term content. So like case studies and things that will stick around for a while, rather than just short-term videos, like a mix of like news / update style videos for like new features, trends, etc., mixed in with longer term content like influencer marketing case studies and hashtag marketing tutorials and that sort of stuff there.
Mm. With hashtags on my mind, where we spoke about YouTube tags, how relevant are hashtags on Instagram?
Really relevant, especially if you're a really small account, like you say, for YouTubers. When you've got a big account, it's not that important, but as a small account, really important. You just want to get really targeted hashtags that are super relevant to the content, and don't go too big. Like if you've got 1,000 followers, don't use hashtag fitness, because you're going to compete against Cristiano Ronaldo, who's posting a video of him at football and he's using hashtag fitness. You're not going to beat Cristiano Ronaldo to the top of a hashtag. He's got like 300 million followers. So use like specific hashtags that might have a few 100,000 posts. So it might be London fitness if you're a London fitness influencer, or, like, just, there's lots of tools out there. There's a bunch of YouTube tutorials that you can find, but go real targeted.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you
Same as
so
YouTube,
much.
really.
Yeah, no, it's the same. And obviously, like, you look at YouTube and there's like TubeBuddy, for example. TubeBuddy's really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
You can go on and research, and so I think it's the same with. Actually, I think that's a good thing to wrap the episode up with. But I think there's so much when it comes to, like we said, shiny objects with business models. But I think there's so much shiny objects when it comes to tools and systems as well.
Yeah.
So what systems do you use? I know you said Telegram and stuff like that. Do you use any like time management systems as well, for like planning out your day or communicating with others? I'm talking like Trello and that sort of stuff.
Not really. I mean, maybe as I grow a bigger team, I used to use Asana, but I just haven't recently. But I just have a notebook, and each evening I write down what I need to get done like the next day, and then that's pretty much just the focus. I talk to my team, through couple on WhatsApp, one guy on Telegram, and then a couple through Facebook Messenger too. So it's all pretty simple for now.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Like I said,
no worries, man.
I'm going to leave Josh's link in the description below. Definitely go check his channel out. Amazing content. And obviously, he's going to have some new videos coming out soon as well.
Cheers, mate. Much appreciated. Thanks for having me.
Wicked, guys. Thank you for watching and listening. And I shall see you in the next episode. Take care. Bye.
Cheers.
Hollywood 6.